Okay, perfect. I think, yes, everything should be fine. All right, YouTube running. So, I would say welcome in to today's AMA. Oh, 1 second. Need to actually share my screen on Telegram as well. 1 second. This one is it. All right, this should be fine now. Now let me move the actual chats, otherwise I can't see something. Open. Oh, perfect. No, just quickly grabbing the YouTube link in case someone wants to follow up on the YouTube. Okay, perfect. Grabbing everything live, grabbing the link, and now setting it up. Perfect. So, how is everyone doing? Oh, where's my chat? Where's my chat? There they are. Perfect. All right, now should be ready now. So, today, since we already started our recording, as you can see, I again opened the, you could say the quick sheet for the new base, which we were talking about in the last AMA. Now for today, I decided we would need some more explanation, especially on the part in which you can, or how are you able to liquidate your NFTs, and how are we making this possible? Because there are, or there have been some concerns, which I definitely think we could take care of with a little bit of furthermore explanation. Now, other things I've been talking to Ron and his team as well, is actually we are right now thinking about possible timelines, right? We need to set up some timelines. We need to get them set up in a way in which they are possible. Now I can already tell you this won't be like super long timelines. Like definitely, I already talked a lot with the actual developer beforehand, and it's not like from the whole work part. It's not super tedious to set up, especially if you have the resources that Ron could bring to the table. So right now we are basically debating when would be an actual good time to launch the restructured base, you could say. But for today, I would definitely think of going a bit more into detail, and especially explaining the part in the actual liquidation of the funds, because as we might all have noticed, there have been some issues rising up in the crypto market, especially when it comes to liquidity. Now, of course, this is not directly concerning us as BD Capital, as a project out there, but was especially concerning people which did hold funds on centralized exchanges, as for example, with the whole FTX debacle which happened there, in which the customer funds were let's just say were lent out to this Alameda research and everything. So there is quite a big issue with or how are we able to keep everything liquid? And I think especially this part needs a bit of explanation, because I already received some very good sheets with ideas from the community, like whole PDF files put together from people, in which they thought of possible ways how are we able to set up the liquidity pool and everything. It's not directly a liquidity pool. Now keep this in mind. This is also something very important. So for this AMA, whenever I am referring in the new base to a liquidity pool or something, I will try to explain it in a very easy way, so you can understand how we are thinking of restructuring it. So we are basically always liquid whenever anyone wants to liquidate his investment. I think this is a very, very like super important part, especially right now in crypto. Last time we talked a bit about yeah, the benefits and also the disadvantage of running an actual token, a crypto token with a liquidity pool on the blockchain. Like mainly the main disadvantage is basically which could also be seen as one of the biggest benefits, right? So it's actually the liquidity pool and the market cap calculations, right? Because like most of the times, especially if you look into the altcoin space and not onto, for example, real blockchains and stuff like that, if you're taking a look at the liquidity pool, which you can do very easily, right? You can always go, for example, to Dextools, just as an example, or Poocoin, or whatever you are used, or yeah, let's say whatever you are fine to use in this moment, and you can always search for the contract address there, and you can always look directly into the liquidity pool. Now this is the important part, just like a quick recapture of last AMA. Oftentimes this liquidity, the actual liquidity pool, in which whenever the token gets traded, if someone buys, let's say for example $1,000 of banks, this $1,000 minus the tax goes into the liquidity pool. At the same time the market cap is rising, and the same way around, if someone sells, for example, $1,000 worth of banks minus tax, this is getting taken out directly of the liquidity pool. Now there's one big issue, which is the actual leverage behind the liquidity pool and the market cap calculation, right? If we have, for example, let's just say $10,000 in our liquidity pool, and let's just give a very, very bad example. So we have $10,000 in our liquidity, and let's just say our liquidity is 10% of our actual market cap. Our market cap would be $100,000. So basically, every single token price is calculated on the base of $100,000, right? But if you are like, if you did the math behind it, not everyone is able to take out his money at this moment, right? This actual leverage is enabling huge growths in crypto in general, because the market cap is not like directly tied into the liquidity pool. But then again, it's a big disadvantage if you are taking a look at, for example, at a bank run. So every single person wants to take his money out at the same time, right? This is simply not possible in a crypto token. It's always first come, first served, I think it is also called in English. So basically the first person selling off has the biggest advantage over every single person selling off after this one. You could try to go for a one-to-one liquidity pool, right? It would be technically not like super hard to achieve if you have the safety set up behind everything. But then again, there is where the big disadvantage comes in. If you would trade as a one-to-one liquidity pool, it would be very, very hard to actually move the chart, right? And this is basically the whole purpose for most of the people in crypto. Most of the people like the idea of being able to have like this huge percentages in growth, right? 1000x, 500x, 100x even, right? These are huge numbers, and they would be like super hard to achieve if you would actually have a one-to-one liquidity pool, like with the market cap compared to the market cap. So basically what we came up with in the talks with Ron and his especially his main developer, who was also or is also handling the whole new blockchain there with NXT. So in case you haven't heard yet, basically what we've been talking about with Ron, he was setting up this new project called NXT, which is basically a blockchain in itself. Like I did read through the whole white paper. This is really a massive project in itself. It's a massive project, right? This is a whole blockchain. This is like a whole other level. Now, basically what he told us, because he is a big investor in banks as well, or in BD Capital, he said, all right, I will try to help you guys out with his resources from NXT. And this is where we were talking directly to his developer, especially his CTO there. And we came up with this base idea here. Now, if you missed the last AMA, I would say the best way possible, because I cannot repeat like every single detail today, right? This is not the point of today's AMA. Just take a look at the doc. I think it is well put together for the very, very basic idea of everything. Just a quick recap. We want to move from the actual token into this NFT collection. Now, of course, don't panic, right? We are not focused on art or anything like this. This NFT collection, this is called a ERC 1155. Yeah, you could say token or collection. So basically, every single NFT in this collection is the same NFT. The whole purpose of this NFT collection is to have an actual share of the treasury in this new base, in the new foundation of the project. This is the whole purpose of this. Now, NFTs are most of the times mainly focused on the artwork behind it. So people want to own nice pictures and all of that. They are trading, especially with the rarity of the picture. Many times, of course, there's a use case as well attached to the NFT. But here again, this is not focused on the artwork. This is simply the actual share. Now, we had the idea initially to use our token as the share, right? Now, the main problem is, like, we certainly do not like this like super crazy volatility behind it. As you might know already, we did 150x. Now, the big trouble comes after a huge pump like this one. Like, I can tell you the numbers I saw on people's wallets were actually crazy, especially if you have been investing since the pre-sale in BD Capital. So these were some pretty crazy numbers, right? You wouldn't see these numbers like in traditional finance, or it would be very, very hard to actually see these numbers in traditional finance. So this was in itself pretty crazy. Now, as we all know, markets took a turn. Development was like very, very rough, I can tell you. As I said again, or already last time, tried to explain this like sometimes already. I did basically put down like $50,000 privately for the development. There should be included the whole dashboard, like the new dashboard with the whole fund display. We would have the voting system included, and there was also included the whole, as you might remember, the whole launchpad and charity part, right? Now, the big issue was not that they were just running away with the money. This is not the issue. Definitely not. Not saying they're trying to scam us here, right? Just keep this in mind. That the big issue is that basically this development team is not really keeping up with his timelines, which they are giving out beforehand, right? So it was always a big issue when they said, all right, this will take us roughly like 1 to 2 months. And then after like half the time passed, you were talking to them and it was coming up, we can't hit it, right? There's a bug there, there's a bug here. They did not really handle a lot of the bugs recently, so this was the main issue from the development side, right? Was not really nice, or is still not really nice, because we're still in contact and everything, right? But it's very, very rough. So this from the actual development side. And then, of course, markets on top. As you might know, they are giving a very hard time, a really, really hard time right now. It's very, very hard to get people interested in projects which have been existing already, which is a task in itself, right? Now, you could do different things. We've been talking about different things. One thing was, for example, we will just keep up pushing the development team as hard as we can, right? Then again, it was not in our hand, or is not in our hand. But then basically, like, waiting for the actual bull market and stuff, but this is no good idea. Like, honestly, we all, we even talked with run teams about this one. This is definitely no good idea, right? People will definitely lose interest. We cannot just simply sit there and wait for the bull market. This would be an awful move. So this is definitely the reason why, especially right now, we are coming up with this whole new base foundation, right? We want to like make the turn away from all of these problems which we faced, away from all of these things we encountered with over this past, roughly 1 year, you could say, not quite now, but roughly 1 year. And we want to move forward, turning this like slowly into the right direction. Now, our goal is not like this moonshot, right? Not this moonshot over like next 2 weeks we will moon and we will have another 150x from this point now. This is definitely not the goal, right? The goal always was to create a sustainable project. And I can tell you, I was getting pretty scared when we pumped. Of course, this was a very exciting time, but then again, I can tell you, whenever I was taking a look at the actual liquidity numbers and the actual ratio between liquidity and the market cap, we were pumping way too hard into one direction to make this in any form sustainable. I can tell you, it was very like both things at the same time, like awful, but also very, of course, everyone was very happy, right? Also in the team, everyone was super happy and everything. But then again, this was a very dangerous like step we had there with this huge pump coming in over the course of a few days. Very exciting, but very scary as well. So of course, now we are thinking of, this is basically the whole takeaway is our plan is not to stop anything of the recent development, right? We still have the core concept plans. I still invested this. Like for me, it's a huge amount of money, $50,000. I can tell you, it's a huge amount of money which I invested there privately to actually set off the development. Of course, I will still push them as hard as I can. So at one day, now, as I said before, not sharing any time frames I get from them because I simply cannot rely on the time frames. I need everything to be done correctly, everything to be fixed, and then I can actually like share everything, right? So the plan is not to move away from the initial direction, but to bring the whole project a new base foundation. And I think what we came up with here is one of the best ideas we could take. Now, as I said before, I cannot recap every single thing in here again in this AMA for the base restructuring. Your best bet would be, if you are not familiar with everything right now, your best bet would be just read through this doc, and if you have a question, just throw it in the chat. As you know, we're always trying to answer any questions as in our best possible way. Of course, there are some questions which we cannot answer like directly or like in detail right away. But then again, if there's any question, just like hop in the chat. That's why the chat is here, right? This is the main purpose of the chat. Now, what I want to actually talk about is this part here. So I just said we will have this ERC1155 collection, right? So basically every single NFT is the same. We are not focused on artwork or anything. The main purpose here is to represent an actual share of the treasury. Now, a very important part is this part here, the actual share liquidation. Most people, I think, are aware of like one way, like the first way of a NFT liquidation you could take. You could go to OpenSea. If the collection is registered with OpenSea, you can list your NFT there. You can decide on the price, or you can set it up for an auction. And whenever someone is willing to buy this share from you, he will either buy it directly for the price you did put in there, or he will bid on your NFT, right? Now, there is one main problem with this form of liquidation. You could get higher prices, right? You could get higher prices, since our prices that they are actual not directly tied, but each and every single share has a nominal value, right? So if we put out, just as an example, 10 shares, and we would have, for example, $10,000 in our treasury, every single share has a nominal value of $1,000, right? Because this is what you could take out directly by directly cashing out, our second method there. Now, if we are not minting new NFTs for investors, the only way to acquire an NFT would be through the public market, right? So if you decide, nah, I don't want to sell my NFT, let's say, for example, for $1,000, but I want to rather sell one share for $1,500, you can just simply sell it for $1,500 or list it there. If someone is willing to buy it, you made 50% profit, right? Pretty straightforward here. But very important here, because this is not common, especially in the NFT space, we will have a nominal value, since we are using these NFTs only as an actual share of our treasury. Now, this is very, very important. Now, what do we have in the treasury, right? We did find some very, very appealing techniques. Like, as we said before, we want everything to be very you could say rather low risk for crypto, like especially right now in this market. The main purpose would be to keep the actual capital, right? To keep your capital, keep the fund safe. This is the main purpose of the treasury right now, and then for, of course, setting it up for the future. Now, there are very, very important parts here. We never talk about the actual treasury beforehand, right? But the actual way of investing will be like definitely through DeFi, very, very DeFi orientated, because there's still a lot you can gain in DeFi, right? We will still talk more in depth about everything, especially the actual strategy behind everything with the treasury. Now, very, very important here is we will always be 100% liquid with the funds, right? Or let's keep it this way. We will at max have a liquidation time of, say, for example, 2 weeks. This is very, very important, especially if we take a look at this direct cash out, right? Because this was one of my biggest concerns when we start talking about an NFT collection. I definitely do not want the collection to only have this public market option, right? Because right now we are a crypto token. If anyone wanted to sell the token, he could simply go, for example, to PancakeSwap and can sell the token like directly, right? I never wanted to change it in this way, so we thought of this direct cash out method. You could basically come to us and say, take the same example again, so we do not lose track of everything. We have 10 shares out there in the market, and we have a treasury of $10,000. Now, every share has a nominal value of $1,000. Now, you could come to us and say, hey, I want to exchange one share for my nominal value. So you will receive the $1,000 out from the treasury, and you, or basically your NFT, will get burned. So it will be taken out of the supply completely, because then again, you need to do the math. And we have $9,000 in our treasury remaining, because we did pay out $1,000. And we have 9 NFTs left in this collection. So even if someone is using this direct cash out method, our treasury might be going down, right? But the nominal value will still be the same value. This is very important, very important. We will not have such a high leverage, right? So basically, as we have right now, if someone is selling, for example, $500 worth of banks, or buying $500 worth of banks, this is getting leveraged into the market cap. So the calculation is never 1-to-1 right now. There it will be 1-to-1, and this is very important, like super important. Now, there were some issues coming up, for example, all right, what will happen if every single holder, like this is the biggest risk in the treasury, right? Every single holder, so all 10 holders, 10 shareholders would want to liquidate their NFT for the nominal value. Well, it's not a problem, right? Because we could send out the $1,000 to every single one of the 10 NFT shareholders. The 10 NFTs would get burned. So basically, there would be no NFTs circulating in the market, and the treasury counter would be 0, right? Now, whenever someone is deciding, I would like to get back into this again, then we could open up the mint again, right? We could say, all right, you can mint if you invest, for example, $10,000, you are able to mint 10 NFTs again. So pretty straightforward, right? A main issue with a bank run would be only if we, for example, would be lending out funds, for example, right? If we use, let's say, for example, 50% of the treasury to lend them out, then we would not have direct access to 50% of the funds. Now, if every single one of the 10 shareholders is coming and wants his money back, could be a problem, right? Coming down, let's say, to what time frame are we lending out and all of that different stuff. But we could not pay out everything directly. Now, this is also very important. This is something which we also talked through already with the team of Ron. So basically, we could always say with the direct cash out method, we need, for example, in some cases, a 2-week time period, right? Or a 1-week time period. So we are able to liquidate everything which is concerning the actual cash out, and then we can send the money, burn the NFTs, and everything would be the same. So this is very important here. The way the treasury is set up, we do not have a risk for an actual or behind an actual bank run. This is very important here, very important to understand. There is no risk for us for, even if every single person wants to take out his nominal value of the treasury, he would be able to, right? He could directly cash it out. And this also comes down to new investors, right? Now, this is also very important. There are 2 different ways for an investor. You could either buy it through the public market, or we could say, at some cases, all right, we are opening the mint again. Same example again, just so we all have an easy time following. Initially, we had 10 shares and $10,000 in the treasury. This is $1,000 nominal value each for every single shareholder, right? Now, let's say we say, all right, we would be ready to mint 10 more NFTs, for example. So the mint price would actually be $1,000 in this example. So every single person is able to mint 1 NFT. He will pay $1,000, and this $1,000, they will go directly into the treasury. Now, even if the person minted today and tomorrow he would decide, not a big fan again, I want to liquidate my money, my freshly minted NFT. I want to cash it out directly. I don't want to set it up on the open market, right? He could just take out his nominal value again, because we are not leveraging anything, right? This is very important, very important. Now, everything else, if we would base something on some weird calculations and would say, if someone is paying, let's just say $1,000, and we are just putting $500 into the treasury, and we are using the under $500 to bring out rewards and everything to the actual shareholders, this would be not very healthy, right? This would not be very healthy for us, because we would not have a consistent nominal value. Just coming back to this example, 10 shares initially, $10,000 in the treasury. Now we set up a new mint. We say, all right, people can mint 10 more NFTs. So they pay $1,000 each. So new scenario is we have 20 NFTs in the circulating market and $20,000 in our treasury, and still having the nominal value of $1,000 per NFT. This is very, very important. And even if every or all of the 20 shareholders would decide at the same moment, I want to use the direct cash out method for the nominal value, right? No problem. Of course, it could be that you might run into, let's say, for example, a waiting period of 1 week to 2 weeks or something like this, which is not bad overall, but you will always be able to cash out for your nominal value, right? This is very, very important, very important. If there's any question, right, regarding this, or even later, just throw it in the chat. If I did explain it in a way in which you cannot follow, for example, just ask your question, please. Right? This is why we're here. This is why we have this AMA set up. I will always be willing to answer any questions, right? Don't worry about this part. Just quickly grabbing a drink, 1 second. All right. Yes, perfect. Unmuted again. So this is very, very important to understand. How are the actual shares interacting with our treasury? Very important. We will always have a nominal value. This will not be calculated in like with a weird leverage from the treasury or something like this. We will always have the same nominal value. So now, of course, questions come up. All right, but how can I actually profit now? As a shareholder, how am I actually doing profit by holding this share? Or how is, for example, maybe the nominal value increasing of the share? Very, very simple, you could say, right? Very simple. So we will invest the money, right? As we said before, we will only, like with the big, very, very big majority of everything, we will get DeFi investments. Now, the whole purpose of DeFi investments is to actually make a return on your investment, right? For example, a calculated APR of 30% or 50%, for example. Now we will pay out this dividend in chosen periods, as you can see right here, right? In this dividend section. Let's say, for example, we could decide that we will pay out weekly a set amount of money out to every single shareholder out there. This is one way to make a return, right? The initial idea we always had with BD Capital to actually generate a sustainable source of income is still the core concept and the core base of Banker Stream or BD Capital, right? Very, very important here. Now, another way, of course, is, for example, everything which we take in as this company, BD Capital, right? Let's say, for example, there are sales happening on the secondary market. There are always royalty fees on the secondary market. So let's say, for just as a very easy math example, we have 10% royalties, which will always go to the let's say deployer wallet of the NFT collection. So whenever someone is selling an NFT, say for example for $100, this is like the tax in the tokens, right? It's basically the same thing. You will have to pay a 10% royalty, so $10. This $10, like majority of this $10 will of course go into the treasury directly. Anything which we make as a company, like we have been already talking with Ron about different stuff. He came up with a, I think, huge idea for BD Capital, which would be super beneficial for us. Like honestly, cannot like directly talk into detail about anything here yet, but just as a little teaser in here, right? Anything we make as a company and anything which we are able to put into the treasury is of course also increasing the nominal value of every single NFT. So let's say, for example, same example again, We're starting with 10 shares. The treasury is worth $10,000. So the nominal value of each share is $1,000. Let's say, for example, we as a company make a total return from the royalties and from other things as well of $10,000. And we are able to put down $10,000 into the treasury itself. So right now we have a circulating supply of shares of 10 NFT shares. Sorry, 10 NFT shares in the circulating supply. But the actual treasury is the initial $10,000, which were in the treasury before, plus whatever we put down into the treasury as a company as well. So additional $10,000 there into the treasury, which would say $20,000 in total. We have 10 NFTs out there in the market. So each NFT would have a nominal value of $2,000, right? So we would have doubled this whole nominal value in itself. And now this is the great fact about this, right? It doesn't affect you. It's not the same thing as in the token, right? It's not first come, first served. So basically the person which is selling first at the all-time high makes the biggest profit. This is not the case in here, because every single NFT shareholder was able, in this scenario, to double his money and is in any case able to actually cash out or liquidate this nominal value. This is very, very important here, right? Very important. So this return you made with your NFT share is a guaranteed return, right? This is very, very important to understand here. This is not like in the token. Let's say, for example, we would have this idea already implemented as the initial BD capital, right? Just think about it. And we had a huge increase in volume. A huge increase in volume. People were buying the NFTs like crazy. We were able to put down a lot into the treasury in itself. It doesn't matter if the person or persons beforehand wanted to cash out, right? It would not affect you. You would not lose money in this scenario because your nominal value would still be the same. Of course, on the public market, right? If we are not opening minting, and the only way to actually own a share is to buy it from the public market, and the floor price in the public market goes crazy high, we cannot like influence this one, but we can always influence the base investment. And this, I think, is a very, 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 very important fact here, right? If the NFT market goes crazy on the secondary or the public market, whatever you want to call it, you could make like this big return. So if someone really, really, really wants to invest into BD Capital, the only way to actually own a share, if we do not have open minting at this moment, the only way possible to own a share would be through the public market, right? Of course, it takes some time to get to this point, right? We all know it from BD Capital, like especially the people which have been here since the pre-sale. We did not start with a market cap of 12.5 million. This was definitely not the case. This was definitely not the case. It takes some time, but once we are there, like especially the early people, they have the ability to make a pretty high increase in their nominal value, which is pretty much guaranteed. And this is very, very important. And also, very, very important here, right? I cannot stress this enough. We cannot influence the public market prices, right? There might be people who, let's say the nominal value is $1,000 because you could directly cash out for $1,000. There might be people who would, like, for example, sell their NFT for $800 on the public market. You never know what people might do. This is not affecting your nominal value, right? This is very important. The nominal value of your NFT share is only influenced by the treasury. And the whole setup allows us to build up something which is basically trying to save the increase, whatever we are building up. There is something, oh wait, Telegram here. Nominal value reflects the treasury value, correct? If treasury assets dropped 10%, the nominal value is $900. This is also, basically this would be true. Yes, 100% correct there, Tana. If we would invest into something which we would allow to like drop in price, you can always secure your position by hedging against it, for example. And this is basically the whole idea we have with this treasury, right? The whole idea is that we are setting up investments. They will not make this crazy returns, right? You will not see a 1000% APY in this investment. But, and this is very important, the strategy we run in there, as I said before, you cannot know this at this point, right? But the strategy we want to run in there is that the 100% main goal is to always maintain the value in the treasury. Like this is the main goal. So you would most likely not see us with, let's say, for example, 80% Bitcoin holdings, for example. So we try to avoid, or not try, we will avoid, I need to choose my wording correctly here. We will always avoid to have something which is like influencing the nominal value directly. This is also very, very important. There are different strategies out there you could use. Of course, they are not making this crazy returns, but they are still making returns. The returns are still decent, right? And you can always secure your position there. And this is very important. So treasury is not not intended to grow in value. Let's say it this way. Of course, we could always, let's say, for example, we have a calculated APR, let's make this simple, of 10%, right? So our treasury would grow, like if we grow it organically and we would only compound, this would be the only goal, this would be growing by 10% APR. So of course, there's intention to grow in value, right? You need to understand me. Wait, how can I actually choose my wording here? We will invest the money, right? We will have a return on our investment. So this is no dead money in our treasury. We will invest it, but the strategies we are choosing there, they are basically aiming at a zero risk tolerance for us now. If you have zero risk in a investment, most likely the return will not be super high, but you will generate a return. And this is very important. You will generate a return, but you are saving your investment as far as possible. This is the main intention with the treasury. So having something in the treasury which is in itself like highly volatile. Let's just say, for example, we would be holding 100% of the treasury in Bitcoin, right? There would be no point, no real point behind this whole base restructuring, because the whole treasury and the nominal values of the NFTs, they would be influenced super heavily by the Bitcoin price, right? As I said before, intention is of course to grow, but the main intention is to keep the nominal value and to increase it as well through different ways, as I said before, for example, through royalties, for example, and for example, other ways. Simply said, increase will be paid out to owners. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because you need to also think of the other way around. BD Capital in itself, of course, BD Capital will also own NFT shares, right? Anything else would be like pointless. But of course, we will also own NFT shares. And this will, like, I did not talk about this yet with Ron. This was something I was thinking about in the past few days. But if we tie, like, the actual return of BD Capital into the return that the NFT shares make, we could like pretty much always guarantee that we want to perform or want to the treasury to perform and to grow in the best way possible, right? So every single person involved in BD Capital would be highly motivated to grow the treasury, to grow the API and everything, right? Basically, that would be the main point. But yes, let's say for example we have 10% APY. Let's say for example 8% will be directly paid out to the holders, or 9%, or whatever, right? We did not talk like in depth now about these numbers. But this dividend, this API that is created by the treasury, will be paid out in certain time frames, weeks, bi-weekly, monthly, right? Whatever. This will be paid out. So of course, as I said before, main goal is to grow the treasury. We will have different ways of growing the treasury. Same way as we would grow token funds through trading volume in a token. If you have a text token, right? We would need to basically create volume for the NFT itself. So I'm like highly against using NFT here in the case of BD Capital now, especially with this space here. So I will always refer to it as a share, right? We want to have a trading volume for our share. This is very important to us. Very important, of course, because this would be our way. Let's say, for example, again, same example, we would have 10% royalties. This would be an easy way for us to grow the treasury and to grow your nominal value there. And as we said before, this would be like, I think, of course, we try to set everything up in the like super low risk area, but still I think this is fine, because if we are able to maintain the nominal value and even grow the nominal value, right? And if we are able to tell the people, look, this nominal value is always guaranteed. It doesn't matter if you're the last shareholder in the circulating supply, right? It doesn't matter if you're the last person, like the last man standing, because everyone else was cashing out, everyone had an emergency coming up or stuff like this, right? It would not matter to your funds directly, your funds with a nominal value. And this is something which we could highly play around as well on marketing. Now, of course, the actual design of the treasury, let me just call it treasury design, needs to be on point, right? This needs to be on point because like kept highly secure, because this would be the core, like the absolute core of BD Capital. Same way around, since it's being the absolute core, it would also give us an actual value, right? And value as a company. And this is always important, because you need to create value aside from the community. Like, we have an awesome community. So don't mind this part, but you need to create value, actual value outside. So if anyone asks me, hey, what would you value like the project BD Capital in total, you need to put down a number which is explainable with basic business, right? Basic business. If you're just able to say, well, we have a very nice community and we have like 2,000 people in our Telegram channel and all of that stuff, we have 1,000 holders, right? This is no value. This means something, of course. This means a lot for a crypto project. But then again, if you're able to create actual value which people can see, then I think you are on a very good path as a project, right? And then again, I have like zero intentions to stop any development which I paid already for, right? Don't get me wrong here. So if we are able, we have our core project here, right? You have your shares, as we said before. these shares are also working as actual DAO shares. So you are able to vote for certain things, right? And let's say, for example, we are able to implement the launchpad into our ecosystem finally, and we will launch it. This will be just another form of income for the treasury, like directly our treasury. So whatever we are setting up, even if it's just generating, let's say, or increasing the actual treasury by, let's say, for example, 10% in total. Yeah, well, this is hiring your nominal value, like the nominal value of every single person by 10%. So it was totally worth it. So this would be as well the main strategy, right? Everything would revolve around the treasury. As we said before, or as I mentioned in last AMA as well, we did help out as BD Capital. Ember. Ember was the recovery project for Coyote. So it's not the follow-up project or anything like this, but it's basically the recovery project for them. They were able to donate 160 BNB in total back to Coyote holders, which lost, well, I don't remember the numbers, but it was quite a big number of BNB in total. But they were able to recover like 160 BNB. This is the like one of the main purposes of the project. To help them out, of course, we're using them, for example, in Beast, Ember Agency for all the design work. So if you have been following Beast, you could see the design is on point there. And we did receive, as BD Capital, Ember tokens. So they have been launching their own tokens, and at some point those tokens were worth like roughly $30,000, right? Of course, we cannot just go there and dump the $30,000 worth of tokens, right? This is a big no-no, and this was never the intention. We would never do it. But this is increasing, this would be not directly increasing the treasury, right? But you could also get different paying methods there, right? We're still not losing track of anything which we have been doing before. Beast is still an amazing upcoming project. I can tell you there's a lot of love going into the project, a lot of hard work going into the project, and it's a very, very good core team setup. I can tell you this as well. A very good core team setup. And BD Capital will receive a big wallet. Then again, of course, we cannot simply dump like the tokens and put the money into the treasury. This was never the intention, but we could stake, for example, smaller amounts, or we could stake the actual amounts we receive from Beast, right? And we could not sell off our staking returns, right? But we could occasionally take a little bit of profit here, a little bit of profit there. Now, you know us, right? We would never dump huge sums or big sums or in the wrong timing. We would never dump at this timings at the project. So this would always be a healthy way. But even if it's just 2 BNBs, right? Just flowing into the treasury, like 2 BNB worth, right? Just flowing into the actual treasury then. This is like directly increasing the nominal value. This will be working capital. So basically anything we're doing here is aimed to grow the treasury. And this gives the whole project, I can tell you this already, this gives everything a whole new, you could even say purpose, right? Because we can directly work into a goal. We can directly work into this. We have this single goal as a company. It's always good to have your goals structured pretty simple there, right? You have your single goal there for everything. And you're working to grow to achieve this goal. But isn't you forced to dump Beast if a lot of people cashing out NFT? No, because don't get me wrong here, we would never, like the tokens we receive from Beast, right, for example, I would never put them into this treasury directly. because we are simply not able to do it. Because as you said, if people start to cash out from the treasury, we would be forced to dump. And of course, Beast in itself is too volatile of an asset to actually put into the treasury, right? Because it would be fluctuating the price, the nominal value of our treasury way too much, way too much. So you could think of two different pools, right? Right now we have been always working towards we are fine with tokens, right? We will not dump any tokens or stuff like this. We never did with Ember, by the way. Even them hitting a pretty huge amount, like value amount or dollar amount there in the wallet which they are sitting in. But we would never dump them, right? We would never go and say, oh, all right, they're worth $30,000, we will just dump them. I could never do this to a community because I can tell you, I know the pain, especially for a dev team. If you see a lot of dumping going on, I can tell you this is a lot of pain you go through as a team, not only as investors, right? I can tell you the pain for a team is also there. But you could think of if we occasionally take a little bit of profit, right? Let's say, for example, 2 BNBs, just as an example. We would sell off 2 BNBs worth of Ember just to liquidate a tiny amount, right? There's never the goal of liquidating every single token in there. This is not the goal. This is not like the intention which we had as a healthy partnership between projects, and this is the main purpose. For example, with Ember and Beast, like this cross relations, we always want to keep this healthy cross relations because there are very skilled people in different projects, I can tell you. And if you join forces, you are able to create something big. But if you occasionally take something which is nothing bad at all, right? And you say, all right, we would take, for example, 2 BNB because the timing would be correct. It's not influencing the token directly or too heavily. We could take 2 BNB of Beast. We could take 2 BNB of Ember, and we will just put them into the treasury, right? So we are able to have more working capital there. This would just be one of the possible ways to increase the value of the treasury, right? Now, the more reliable way, of course, is not this way, but the more reliable way is, of course, hiring the volume, the trading volume. Yes, definitely. As I said before, it's just important, like super important for me, that everyone is understanding the concept, right? The concept with the nominal value and the way this works and everything. The layout of the treasury, this is a whole different topic, right? But you know me, as soon as I'm able to share this, and I can tell you I'm very glad that we are working with Ron and his team, because this is actually an amazing team to work with, right? Amazing team to work with. Big amounts of knowledge in there, so definitely something very good in there. But as soon as we're able to share something, definitely put it out there. But this was one of the because this, you could say, is the foundation of the new foundation, right? It's very important for me that people understand the actual value of such a treasury, and that people also understand, because this is like the main purpose of anything, right? If you own something, you always want to know, all right, how can I make money with it, and what kind of a risk am I taking with it, right? So we are trying to increase, of course, trying to increase the value of the treasury, therefore bringing a return to every single holder. Of course, the earlier, the better for anyone. And we are trying to like absolutely subtract the whole risk part if you're talking about the nominal value. This is the core concept. And this is very important to understand, like super important to understand. This would be the core concept. We're trying to make the returns. We're trying to, you could say, lock in your gains from the nominal value. So anyone is always able to cash out his gains. right? So we would not run into this first come first serve problem, or problem in which holders which were actually holding through anything, like for example since the pre-sale, right, holding through the whole upward storm and downward storm and through everything and anything. um it's not like I don't like the idea that people that have been holding a very, very long time and were always loyal holders at some point um, have a hard time looking at their wallet, right? I do not like the idea. Oh shit. Rose. Oh, sorry, Tunnel. Sorry, Tunnel. Rose is mean today. Idea is not to buy by 1,000 and sell by 2,000, but to have infinite passive. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like this was always the main purpose, right? Of course, it was nice to have this huge price increase, like upwards and downwards. Not so nice, but still, this is what happens in crypto, right? You have a huge pump, then there always follows a huge dump afterwards, and then there is the deciding point, right? You had a huge pump, you had a huge dump. Now, don't get me wrong, not every project is having a huge pump, but if you have a huge pump, uh, what are you able to make out of this one? And I think with this concept, we would be set up perfectly, perfectly for the future, right? This is still why I am so in love with this idea. I can still tell you, like, the person I've been talking to, like, the main amount of time, very smart person, and I can tell you, we came up with this one, and I started to realize, hey, this is how the treasury works. This is how the nominal value works. This is the way we could influence different things, right? We could lock in the actual values for the people. We could still have BD capital around the treasury, which could be occasionally putting more money into the treasury, therefore increasing the nominal value directly, right? So this is a very, very good idea. Very smart idea. I can tell you. And then again, this would be not dangerous for people to actually just hold, right? Just sit back and hold. You will receive your dividends in whatever time period it is, right? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, like whatever it is. You will receive them. You can just sit back, relax, because you will definitely know, I have my nominal value, right? I have it, and I don't really care what's happening around in this whole storm of crypto. I hope you're unmuted again now, Daniel. Rose was was getting mad basically just Rose being Rose, right? Sometimes she's just a dickhead, honestly. But I can also tell you, like, honestly, no one I've been talking to directly about this one said, I don't like this idea, right? So this also shows me, hey, we're definitely on the right path here. We're definitely on the right path here with this idea. And now it's just a matter of how we will structure the details, when we will come up with the actual time frames and everything. Telegram is always jumping around here. I saw you typing. Still typing. Okay. I was just worried right now that you could still not type. Then I would have directly unmuted. Oh, give me a second. You're not able to type? Oh. Let me just quickly fix this one. I think it was this here. I think you're fine again now, Tanner. Rose was not having it at all. I just noticed. I saw you typing, and like a message popping up, but it was getting directly deleted in here. All right. So basically, for anyone who made it through the recording until this point and was not shutting it off until now, thank you for listening in. Like as always, as usual business, right? Any questions, ask them. This is a very important AMA. It's very, very important to understand the way our shares work with the treasury, the way the nominal value is calculated, and the way the treasury is affecting our like shares in itself, right? This is very, very important here. We do not need to have be scared about a bank run, right? If every single person wants to take the money, yes, you're fine, just take it, right? We'll just simply burn the supply. We will put it out there. Do we have already fund manager? Not directly fund manager. No, we do not have this one directly, but there are some very, very good things which I need to still 100% take a look into, so I am like comfortable speaking about them, right? Because these are completely new things for me as well. But as I said, this will be very, very, very interesting. All right. Got it. Thank you, like every single one, for listening into the AMA. And as I said before, if you have any questions, drop them. Drop them in the chat. If you're not comfortable asking them, just DM me directly. Right? Just DM me directly, and I will definitely answer any single question there. If I do not like answer directly, don't get mad at me. I need to repeat this sometimes. Just tag me in the chat. Just tag me with, just as Ternal did in here in Telegram. Just say at Paul Buka, I have a quick question for you in a DM. Just tag me so I see it, right? Because sometimes it's super hard to keep up with all the DMs and groups and stuff flowing around in Telegram, especially with DMs. All right. Yes. Nah, thank you, like anyone in here. Thank you. It's very, very good to talk about the details in here. But I'm very, very, like, I'm very certain that the core concept is easy to follow now, right? I'm very, very certain there. I still need to come up with a graphic. This was something I wanted to do. I want to do a simple like graphic, which could be used to just add to the doc or pin in the Telegram as well, so people have a like visual overview of how the treasury and the actual shares are working with the treasury, right? All right, but again, do not want the recording to be like super long again and the people being scared to listen into the recording because they sometimes think, I need to listen into 1 hour recording. I do not want to do it. So if you're listening to recordings, just skip to the parts which are interesting for you, right? And if there was something you might have missed or you think you have missed, just go back. This is the beauty of a recording, right? All right. Big thank you. Thank you anyone for listening in. And otherwise, we will hear each other again very, very soon. Very, very soon. Next AMAs will follow. All right, people. Thank you all, and bye-bye.